Hare Krishna. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharidhari. Gopi Jana Yashodana Nana Vrajana Ranjana. Yashodana Vrajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Shri Shri Ganatai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Parivaishnavind ki jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirye Shavtam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto He Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. Hare Krishna. So today we will be covering Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 8th canto, chapter 19. Lord Vāmanadeva begs charity from Bali Mahārāja. In the previous class, we covered Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 8th canto, chapter 18, Lord Vāmanadeva, the dwarf incarnation, where it was described as how Lord Vāmanadeva appeared, Lord being satisfied by Aditi's Payavrata sacrifice, and then he appeared as her son, Vāmanadeva, and his name was Upendra, also means the younger brother of Indra, one who is younger to Indra. We'll cover the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 19, first verse. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Verocha Nirvakyam Dharma Yuktam Sasunrutam Nishamya Bhagavan Pritaha Pratinandyedam Abravit. Shri Shukaha Uvacha. Shri Shukdev Goswami said, Iti, thus, Vairocana, of the son of Virochana, Vakyam, the words, Dharma Yuktam, in terms of religious principles, Saha, he, Sudritam, very pleasing, Nishamya, hearing, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Pritaha, completely pleased, Pratinandya, congratulating him, Idam, the following words, Abravit, said. Translation by His Divine Grace S.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Shukdev Goswami continued, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāmanadeva, heard Bali Mahārāja speaking in this pleasing way, he was very satisfied, for Bali Mahārāja had spoken in terms of religious principles. Thus the Lord began to praise him. There is no purport to this verse. Om Jnana Timrandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Gayam Yat Kripatadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So in this chapter, we continue the pastime of Lord Vāmanadeva and Bali Mahārāja, as how Lord Vāmanadeva appeared at the sacrificial arena, where Bali Mahārāja was also giving charity to the Brahmanas, and when Lord Vāmanadeva appeared, the splendor of all the Brahmanas, because they were descendants of Bhrigumani, Shukracharya and his sons, his descendants, they were there. So their splendor was lost instantly, because Lord Vāmanadeva appeared with such an effulgence, and everyone was attracted to Lord Vāmanadeva. So this is where we, just covering the previous chapters, 4, main aspects, 4 lessons that we learned, that the devotee never give up Lord's desire or his lotus feet. Aditi was instructed by her husband, the spiritual master, Kashyapa Muni, and so she, worshipped the Lord through Payavrata sacrifice, Payavrata Vrat. And Lord Vāmanadeva's appearance, that was lesson 2, that earlier as Lord Vishnu, when he appeared to respond to her worship of him, it showed all auspiciousness. Madhava. Madhava is, husband of the goddess of fortune. Yes, Prabhu? Hare Krishna. Sure. So, let's quickly catch up as where we are. Aditi's sons, they went away because when Bali Mahārāja, after having performed Vishwajit Yagya, and his spiritual master, Shukracharya, based on his instructions, his spiritual master's instructions, he performed this Vishwajit Yagya, so he got, celestial weapons and chariot and so forth, and the chariot had the flag of the lion. So again, and by getting the blessings of his elders, so not just that, okay, now I have this, he immediately marched on to fight against Indra. He actually took blessings from his, grandfather and his elders, and then he embarked on this, for this battle, and he came to the outside the capital of Indra, Amravati. And there, Indra is seeing Bali Mahārāja, because in the previous fight, he had killed Bali Mahārāja. So he was surprised that Bali Mahārāja is not just alive, he is looking, blazing like a sun. So he immediately went to his spiritual master, asking for suggestions. Should I fight or what should I do at this time, Guru Maharaj? And then Brihaspati, who is the spiritual master of the demigods, he revealed that this time you cannot defeat Bali Mahārāja. So it's better that you leave. That's intelligence, right? However, that's also not the Kshatriya Dharma. Kshatriya Dharma is like when a Kshatriya is challenged by another Kshatriya, they appear on the battlefield no matter what. However, the demigods are in the mode of goodness more than in the mode of passion. So they, being more of Brahmanical qualities, they follow the injunctions of the Shastra as well as their spiritual master. And having heard this instruction, Indra and all the other demigods, they moved away incognito. So they are wandering in different places without being recognized, because as soon as they are recognized, they know that the demons would attack and kill them. Now Aditi, who is the mother of demigods, now she is grieving the loss, that she cannot see her sons. And she is feeling that how can they come back? So when Kashyapa Muni, after his regular practices, he comes to the ashram, he sees that there's a lot of neglect. So he asks his wife that why is all this happening? And she says, no, because of me following your instructions, there was no Brahmana who was not properly serviced, there was no sacrifice that was not being conducted properly, and there was no beggar who was, returned without giving proper alms. Yet at the same time, there is this distress I am experiencing personally, and that's why you may have seen some neglect, experienced some neglect. And at that time, Kashyapa Muni, he immediately thought of the power of material energy. Because when he hears that his wife Aditi is lamenting because she cannot see her sons, so he instructs her. And previously he had instructed the younger sister of Aditi, Diti, on performing a similar sacrifice for Lord Vishnu. So now Diti had already attained the position of a devotee and she is practicing devotional service. That's another story. However, here, when Kashyapa Muni realizes, he says, oh, you should perform Vayovrata sacrifice. And it's a 12-day sacrifice that happens during the month of February and March. So she performs it, and Lord Vishnu, behold, he appears, satisfied with her sacrifice, and he says, I already know what you're wishing. And it's very nicely described that when he appears, Aditi is completely overwhelmed by motherly feelings. And she is as if she's drinking the form of the Lord just by her eyes. And she is not able to speak anything at that moment. It happened, similar things happened to Dhruv Maharaj. When he saw the Lord, completely was in a, in a state of shock, but a blissful shock, right? And he couldn't speak also anything. So here Aditi, when she was in this mood, Lord said, I know your desire. Your desire is, first of all, that your sons should regain their position, because Indra, he is the ruler of the heavenly kingdom, and also the king of the demigods. And also I know that you desire to kill the demons, And however, they are protected by Brahmana. So since Brahmins are very pleased by Bali Mahārāja and others, that would not be possible. Yet at the same time, in his pastime, he goes above and beyond that, in a way, to show Aditi as how he is fully satisfying her. And as we have learned that Lord, when you have a material desire, because this is a material desire to some level, Mishra Bhakti, where she is actually, Aditi is desiring that, Lord should bring her sons back, and that would satisfy her. So Lord gives what the devotee wants, and at the same time he takes away that material desire, right? Any materialistic aspect, he takes that away as well. So in this pastime, as we will hear afterwards, that Lord satisfies her desire, both the wishes, while at the same time removes that feeling that she was having. So in the end, there is a son that she is not able to see, yet at the same time she is still satisfied. That's why that is happening, and she is able to, continue in her journey of spiritual advancement. So after having given her this wish, Lord says that I will appear as your son. And so Kashyapa Muni immediately realizes, when he is meditating, that Lord has entered, his heart and so forth. And then he is transferred to the womb of Aditi. And Prabhupada says it is not by the material conjugal relationship of husband and wife. This is not the way that happens. But he is transferred to the womb of Aditi. And he appears as Vāmanadeva. And at that time, even though Lord doesn't require anything, all the demigods and all, again, they come up from their different places, come back, and they give different kind of gifts to the Lord. Aditi herself gives the cloth for the underwear, Kashyapa Muni gives a straw belt. Then Bhumi gives the deer skin, an umbrella is given, a pot for begging alms is given by Kubera. The first alms were given by Bhagavati, goddess Durga, Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva. So similarly, he is properly dressed, and now he is marching. He appears like a 5-year-old boy, and his effulgence is so amazing that when he marches towards the sacrificial arena at the Bhrigu region, which is near Narmada, that's where this sacrifice is being performed by Bali Mahārāja. Now Bali Mahārāja, even though he has already become the king of heaven and this universe, this is a small universe, yet he has occupied the whole universe, and he is the ruler. Even though he has occupied the position of Indra, he is following the Vedic injunction that to perform 100 Rajasya Yagyas. So he is performing a Yagya. And that's where Lord Vāmanadeva appears. And when he appears, the splendor of all the personalities present, including Bali Mahārāja, that is immediately lost. And Vāmanadeva looks so, he's just a 5-year-old brahmachari, clearly visible as a son of a brahmana, approaching the sacrificial arena, full with effulgence. And everyone is completely attracted to this personality, to Lord Vāmanadeva. And they are wishing, and they are, having this feeling of awe and reverence. Some were having, some were conversing with others. Who's this personality? Do you know this child? A 5-year-old boy coming, and it's very attractive because, he has Janeu on his shoulder. He has gone through the whole ceremony and all that. And umbrella he is holding, a danda he is holding. He also has a part for begging alms and so forth. in deer skin. So even Bali Mahārāja's sister, Ratnamala, she gets so attracted that she immediately wishes that I wish that he was my son. And when someone wishes with pure heart, with pure feeling, Lord grants it. So Lord Vāmanadeva here, understanding what her desire is, immediately grants it. And that is revealed later on as how she attains the position of his mother. And also in the spiritual world, she attains the position, of his mother. A nurse is a mother, and she becomes, a helper, in that position of Yashoda Mai, the mother Yashoda. We'll reveal that pastime a little later, as how that pastime comes and how her next birth is, destined accordingly. So here, as soon as he appears, Bali Mahārāja seats him very nicely, washes his feet, and sprinkles the water on his head. And Srila Prabhupada says that as if like Ganges, purifies the whole world, those, water drops immediately purifies Bali Mahārāja, and he's experiencing transcendental bliss, and he's experiencing that whatever he has been working for is successful at that moment. He has that transcendental experience. And Vāmanadeva, he has appeared as a Brahman, right? So Brahmacharya is an ashram, and Varna is Brahman. So he asks, what do you want? I shall give you. So again, he asks from Vāmanadeva. And when Vāmanadeva hears this from Bali Mahārāja, he is immediately gladdened. And that's where this chapter starts. That when the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāmanadeva, heard Bali Mahārāja speaking in this way, in a pleasing way, that he would offer me anything I want, he was very satisfied. And for Bali Mahārāja had spoken in terms of the Vedic injunctions, the religious principles. And thus the Lord began to praise him. And this is where we are at this moment. And there are 11 lessons. I know we have limited time. We'll see if we can cover those 11 lessons. So the Lord, he starts praising Bali Mahārāja at different levels. First he says that your present advisors are Brahmanas, right? Who are descendants of Bhrigu Muni. Shukracharya himself, he is the son of Bhrigu Muni. And Bhrigu Muni is the prime of the 7 sages. And then he goes, first of all, if someone, says your spiritual master is so and so, of course, it's very pleasing to one's heart, because they realize that, oh, I'm following the instructions and someone is recognizing it, so that is very pleasing that I'm on the right path. It's very interesting reflecting back to Srila Prabhupada's time. Once a devotee, he was reading and he's read that a spiritual master enters the heart of his disciple and instructs him. So, understanding this aspect, he had some questions. So he said, so Srila Prabhupada, you would enter my heart as a spiritual master and instruct me? Because Krishna has Chaitya Guru instructs you from inside, so that you have a Diksha Guru who appears to you and gives you instructions. And Srila Prabhupada, realizing this feeling of love and reverence towards the spiritual master, means he says, yes, if you let me. Right? It's very important that we have to have that feeling that we let our spiritual master to enter our heart and instruct us and guide us through, his instructions. So Bali Mahārāja is immediately feeling very pleased hearing this verse from Vāmanadeva. And Vāmanadeva continues. He says that your instructor is your grandfather, Prahlād Mahārāja. And the word he uses is Prashanta. He's very pleasing and venerable, Prahlād Mahārāja. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, as somebody can say, well, Prahlād Mahārāja was attracted to his family. He stayed, even though he was a grandfather at that age, he was still with his family members. Yet at the same time we know that he's one of the Mahajanas, right? So, however, as per the Shastra, Kiva Vipra, Kiva Nyasi, Shudra Kene Naya, Ye Krishna Tattva Veta, Se Guru Haya. Whether one is a Brahmana, a sannyasi or a Shudra, regardless of what he is, he can become a spiritual master if he knows the science of Krishna. From Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 8.128. So anyone completely aware of the science of Krishna, regardless of his status in life, regardless of his ashram or even varna, he is a guru. So Prahlad Maharaj is a guru in all circumstances. That's the conclusion in the purport Srila Prabhupada is providing us. So it's very interesting, and it's very interesting sometimes based on the varnas we make distinctions, and also sometimes based on ashram, right? And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas ashram because he realized that his students could not understand the proper mood when he was, calling out the names of various gopis. And he took sannyas ashram because he realized that in this particular world, it doesn't matter what your position is or what your status is, people judge you from your external appearance. And sannyasi is immediately regarded very highly and people pay obeisances. But in this case, we see that in truth, as per the scriptures, it doesn't matter what your status is. If you know the science of Krishna, and if you have realized the science of Krishna, if you are practicing that science in your very life, then you are successful and you can be a guru. You can provide instructions. Now, preaching is a very tough task. So, once in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada, he agreed to give his morning darshan to his devotees, his disciples. And when there was this darshan going on, many of his important disciples who he wanted to become preachers, who were actually preachers in the field, they were not present. So he asked another devotee, he asked, where are these devotees? And the devotee responded that, oh, Srila Prabhupada, they are doing different activities, and some of them are cleaning temples. Srila Prabhupada said, they are cleaning temple? We can employ people to clean temples. But what we cannot employ people is to preach. So we should have these important devotees present so they can become preachers. Everyone should make an attempt to attend Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class so that we can preach strongly. Having heard from the Shastras, from Prabhupada's purpose, we should be able to preach strongly. So it's very important for us to attend the classes, to do Shravanam, because Shravanam enables us to do Kirtanam, and not the other way. Hare Krishna. So as, Bali Mahārāja is hearing, he is experiencing this Shravanam, and he is feeling gladdened that, yes, my instructor is my grandfather, Prahlad Mahārāja. And further, Vāmanadeva, in this very first lesson, where he is identifying, he is praising the scriptural injunctions, as how one is properly carrying them out. He is saying, no one ever refused charity to a Brahmana. You are born in a dynasty where no one has ever refused charity to a Brahmana, or a fight or battle to a Kshatriya. Now, charity to a Brahmana reveals a very important aspect here, because Bali Mahāraja's father, Virochana, he was performing a sacrifice. And there is a glimpse given in this particular chapter and in the purports, as when Virochana was performing this series of sacrifices, as per the instructions of Shukracharya, some Brahmanas appeared and they arena asking for, charity. And Virochana said, yes, I will give you charity, whatever you want. Realizing that some of the Brahmanas were actually, demigods who had appeared in the dress of a Brahmana. So as Brahman, they appeared, on the sacrificial arena, and they asked Virochana to give his remaining duration of life in charity. And Virochana did not refuse it. he gave his life, the remaining duration to them. And that actually was the aspect when Shukracharya saw that triggered Shukracharya, to bring Bali Mahārāja back to life. And Bali Mahārāja then performed the Vishwajit Yajna. Well, demigods thinking that Virochana is dead, there is no son alive of Virochana, Bali Mahārāja is dead. And then of course we have Banasura and the 100 sons, He's leading the 100 sons of Bali Mahārāja. So they did not realize that, there could be any danger. While Bali Mahārāja having come back to life and having performed, like we covered today, earlier, how he performed the Vishwajit Yajna and then he drove all the demigods out of the heavenly planets and became the ruler. He became the Indra, right? In this particular case. So, Indra means king. That's another meaning of Indra, the ruler. So, here he is feeling gladdened. And then the aspect comes when a Kshatriya, as a Kshatriya, no one has ever refused. Lord Vāmanadeva continues to praise, and he is revealing some truths that only the person who has known it, would be able to reveal. So this is where Shukracharya starts getting hint who this personality is. Understand? So he reveals some truths. He reveals that your means Hiranyaksha. Right? Great-grandfather means again, Hiranyakashipu was the great-grandfather, and his brother Hiranyaksha was a Kshatriya, and just by carrying his own club, he would wander all around the universe and he would defeat other great warriors. When he had actually gone to Varunadeva, when Varunadeva said, you should fight someone with your own, capabilities, with your own strength. And Bali Mahārāja time, they performed a churning of the ocean. While Hiranyaksha was so mighty that he would stand in the middle of the ocean and just start twisting, and that caused churning. He just did not know the formula of churning of the ocean could get nectar. So, and he had actually received a blessing from Lord Brahma, and he had identified all the animals or living entities that could, in the material world, the different yonis, right, that could kill him, but he forgot to perform, identify Varaha as one, and Lord appeared as Varahadev. And Vāmanadeva is revealing that as when Lord Vishnu, who appeared as Varahadev, fought with Hiranyaksha when trying to get earth from the nether depths of Garbhodaka ocean. At that time, there was a fight between Hiranyaksha and Lord Varahadev. And the fight was so tumultuous, so amazing that it appeared many times that Hiranyaksha is going to win. And even Lord Brahma started getting sweat on his forehead, thinking that Hiranyaksha is going to win. But Lord suddenly, all of a sudden, kills him. And Vāmanadeva is saying that Lord, remembering the valor of Hiranyaksha, truly thought of himself as victorious. Right? When you have a very strong opponent, you feel victorious that this is hard. Shri Shri Gauratai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai. Shri Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Go Premanande. Hari. So here, as he's glorifying Hiranyaksha, like Lord felt truly victorious, remembering how difficult it was to kill Hiranyaksha and to win that fight. There was a reaction to that, right? Hiranyakashipu heard as Lord Vishnu had appeared as Varahadev and killed his brother Hiranyaksha. So he became angry. His anger was because of enmity that Vishnu deceived himself in the form of Varahadev and killed my brother. So when Hiranyaksh performed that great yajna, sacrifice, and pleased Lord Brahma, he did not get the boon of being immortal, but very close, right? He cannot be killed day or night. He cannot be killed inside the house, outside the house. He will always be victorious in the battlefield, and so forth. He cannot be killed by any of the living entities created by Lord Brahma. He cannot be killed by any of the weapons. So as that continued, so Hiranyaksh, he started searching for Lord Vishnu. And he went to the abode of Lord Vishnu. And it is revealed, Lord Vāmanadeva is revealing it, right? Because he is Vishnu. So he is revealing that Hiranyaksh, when he was in anger, approached and he entered the abode of Lord Vishnu with a trident in his hand. Lord Vishnu is thinking, Hiranyaksh is approaching me just like death personified, filled with so much anger. And he was in anxiety. Now when somebody hears Lord Vishnu in anxiety, they may get confused. Was he afraid? No, he was not afraid. It was not fear. Rather, it was compassion. Srila Prabhupada reveals in his purport that it was compassion to Hiranyakashipu. He knew, Lord Vishnu knew that Hiranyakashipu cannot kill him. Lord is immortal, he is all spiritual. It's only a material body that gets killed. Even the living entities, they are immortal. So, it's only the body that dies. And seeing Hiranyakashipu appear in his anger, he said, wherever I will go, Hiranyakashipu will follow. So, it is best for me to enter his heart. Because in his capability only to be able to see outside, he will not know that I am sitting in his heart. So Lord, in this subtle form, appeared, he entered through the nostrils, through the breathing of Hiranyakashipu, he enters his heart. And Hiranyakashipu, he wanders around the whole universe searching for Lord Vishnu, not realizing that Lord Vishnu is sitting in his heart. Right? So this is super soul sits in everyone living entity's heart. However, Lord himself appears in the heart of his devotees. So Hiranyakashipu is constantly in anger because of that enmity towards Lord Vishnu. He is searching, and then afterwards he comes to the conclusion that since I cannot find Lord Vishnu, he has gone to a place from where no one returns. Now Mother Saraswati is in a way praying through. Sometimes when people are saying negative aspects, those are also sometimes prayers of Mother Saraswati. So it can be seen in two forms. One is, Hiranyakashipu is thinking, now that I cannot find Lord Vishnu in this universe, he must be dead. While Lord is always spiritual in a spiritual world. So from a spiritual world, one need not return. And wherever there is Lord, there is spiritual world. So there is no point of returning from where you are. So as this is revealed, Bali Mahārāja and everyone else on that sacrificial arena, they are feeling very pleased hearing this secrets being revealed. And Shukracharya, of course, is understanding that only Vishnu could reveal this, right? So all this is giving indications to Shukracharya. Of course, he has his mystic powers as well, which reveals to him what is going to happen in the future. So as Bali Mahārāja is very pleased, he says, please ask me what can I give to you. Anything, you can ask me anything. And at that time, Vāmanadeva asked for that charity, that all I want is 3 steps of land to the size of my feet, to my steps. And Bali Mahārāja looks at him, he's a 5-year-old child. These 3 steps would hardly be any place. So he says, oh, even though you are speaking like a very learned person, you are not very intelligent, you are just a child. So you should ask for me something which is, and someone who asks me something, there should not be any need for them to ask anyone else for anything. I can even give you a Dvipa. Now Srila Prabhupada reveals, when he's talking of Dvipa, it's not an island on earth, surrounded by water. He's actually talking of Dvipa, which is like a planet floating in the universe. So there are 7 dvipas and so forth. There is a big description. Of course, Temple of Vedic Planetarium, there is an effort to, make this depiction of the spiritual, as per the scriptures, this material universe, how it has been laid out, how it has been described. And PhD, students in the Calcutta University are working on it as well. So soon we'll be able to see that once the planetarium is built and ready. So Bali Mahārāja is saying you should ask for something, that you don't have to ask for from anyone else. And at that time,
so the chapter 3 actually I skipped was there is a Buddha philosophy that
so the chapter 3 actually I skipped was there is a Buddha philosophy that at death everything is finished. Srila Prabhupada reveals in his purport. And so that's a Buddha philosophy, but we understand from the scriptures that that is not true. The spiritual journey continues for a living entity even after his death. And the 4th chapter is when he is asking only for these 3 pieces of land. Vāmanadeva is revealing in the 4th lesson that a Brahman or a sannyasi should not ask for more than what is required, what they need. Otherwise, it would be sinful. And they would be punished. In purport, Srila Prabhupada uses the word punish. I was surprised that when a Brahmana and a sannyasi ask for more than what they require, they would be punished because they would be entangled. They would seek sense gratification. A little discomfort to the body, they would start lamenting and they would start grieving. And that would lead to, material emotions to arise. And the senses are so strong that even for a Brahmana or sannyasi, this can cause distraction from their regular path on spiritual advancement. So one should be very cautious when they ask for something. And we actually visited a friend's daughter's graduation ceremony last weekend. It was very interesting that there was a lot of talk on freedom, right? That once this young lady, she would go to the college, which is again just half an hour away from their house, about an hour away from their house. She would have complete freedom, as if she did not have the freedom till now. The perception of freedom is so sometimes misconstrued or misinterpreted. Freedom is at 2 different levels, if you pay attention. First is, it gives you a lot of choices, right? That's the first outside appearance of freedom. But then the true freedom is to be able to use your intelligence correctly to make the right choice. That's the true freedom. Because till we are in this material body, we really don't have any freedom. We are completely ruled by the 3 modes of material nature, right? Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya. Lord Krishna reveals that all these living entities who are under the, being influenced by the 3 modes of material nature are under the control of Maya, Durga. So under the modes of material nature, we are all caught. However, Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Devi Prakritim Ashraya. But the devotees who are surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord, they are under the, rule of Yoga Maya, not Mahamaya. So they transition. That's why living entities are known as marginal energy. So just like the bank of a river, it can be this marginal line, this particular slope. When the water rises, it will go underwater. And when the water recedes, it will become part of the land, visible land. So we, being the marginal energy, will always be under Yogamaya or Mahamaya. The true freedom is to take the shelter of Lord Krishna, so we are guided by Yogamaya. And we are able to enjoy transcendental bliss. So it's not really a question of freedom, but it's a question of happiness. Right? We're always being guided by someone, but then where are we going to be happy? Right? Jivera Surup Hoya Krishnera Nityadas, Krishnera Tathastha Shakti Veda Veda Prakash. So a living entity is a marginal energy of Lord Shri Krishna, and is like, at that particular time, an eternal servant of Lord Krishna. And when he is constantly serving Lord Krishna, Krishna Tathastha Shakti as marginal energy, Veda Veda Prakash. So he becomes Chinta Veda Veda Tattva philosophy comes here. One and non-different from Krishna. So now that is in context that he is properly situated in his constitutional position in experiencing transcendental bliss, no more lamentation of the past, no more aspiration of the future, right? Prasannatma. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kamshati samah sarveshu bhuteshu. He is equally disposed towards all living entities, Mad Bhakti Labhate Param, and is constantly engaged in devotional service. So our position is to be constantly engaged, very active. So the lesson 5 that we reveal means we learn from this chapter is that the materialists are just like madmen. They engage in activities that they should not perform, but which they do perform only for sense gratification. And after performing all these activities, first of all, it's very interesting when we take different resolutions, right? At the end of the year, most of the people, they take resolution of dieting and doing exercise, right? And after a month, the only thing they realize is what they have lost is a month.
So instead of
the time. So instead of seeking sense gratification, we should seek to engage in devotional service. And how do you pray to get those devotional engagement in devotional service? Just by raising a hand, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, he was constantly showing by his own example as how one should be engaged in devotional service and not seek sense gratification. He just used to have like about a suitcase worth of stuff. That was his deities, his their paraphernalia and so forth, and his clothes, his basic like tilak and other things. And many times, devotees were giving him different things. Like once, devotees gave him golden rings as well, which he immediately would, after using for a little while, realizing that this is a gift given by disciples, he would pass them on to other devotees. He gave 2 golden rings, 1 ring to his disciple and another one to his wife when he was performing their marriage ceremony. Right? He would immediately pass on things. Means he had a Rolex watch, he gave it to my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. So he would pass on. Once he had another, very costly watch, and another devotee gave him a simple Timex watch. Just wanted to give. So Srila Prabhupada, he gave him his watch and took that, simple watch. And then he said, can you just make it, change the band from that leather to, the one that easily closes with a clip. And the devotee did that. And when Prabhupada wore it, this particular watch, the Timex one, was very slow. And he's like, this one is always slow, and how's that one? Oh, that one is very nice, Prabhupada, because devotee is now feeling that this is, gift by Prabhupada in return. So he was feeling very nice. But yeah, this watch is always a little slow. And he got it fixed and all that stuff. So there's a nice pastime around that. But Prabhupada, he was always getting things, and he was immediately, very quickly, after some usage, he would pass on. It's so interesting that he would not keep anything for himself. He just kept things that he needed to perform his devotional service. So he's showing by example that a Brahmana or sannyasi should not accumulate too much. If they accumulate too much, it leads to sinful reactions. They engage in sinful activities. And that is punishable by law. So as Srila Prabhupada, he was passing on so many things. Sometimes very funny scenarios would happen. once it so happened he asked one of his devotee, when his disciple, to cut his hair short. So this disciple, he cut off the hair, but he kept a small tuft of hair, in a cloth. Prabhupada said, it is muchi, dirty, It is muchi, why are you keeping that? It's like, no, Srila Prabhupada, this is, this is very precious to me. Prabhupada said, all right, and then he laughed about it. Not just when he passes on gifts, people would consider that valuable. Even a muchi thing, a dirty thing like hair of the spiritual master, this devotee, he understood the heart of this devotee. As how this devotee loves him so much that even a dirty thing like my hair he wants to keep, just to remember me by. And there was another instance where a lady disciple, she was asking Srila Prabhupada, when you will go, then how will I serve you? So Srila Prabhupada gave the general instructions he would give to other devotees he had given in the past, saying that yes, you should listen to my instructions, through my books you will never feel the separation, I will always be there. And then after a little pause, he said, do not forget to feed me. Do not forget to feed me. So when, we offer bhoga to the deities, right? It becomes Maha. It becomes Mahaprasad. And then we should, of course, offer that Mahaprasad first to, our spiritual master, Param Guru, and so forth. So that's a very heart-touching instruction from Srila Prabhupada, that don't forget to feed me, when I'm gone. Because he'll be here, he's here. In his deity form, through his instructions, and as we read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, through his transcendental purpose. The purpose Srila Prabhupada reveals is his transcendental ecstasies.
About the madness of this material world.
So the fifth lesson was about the madness of this material world.
Bali Mahārāja says, okay, take whatever you
and
want.
Here, at this particular point, Bali Mahārāja says, okay, take whatever you want. And when he says that, Shukracharya, who has understood who this personality is, who Vāmanadeva is, immediately stops Bali Mahārāja. And he gives instructions coming from, again, scriptures, Vedas. But these instructions, they are misinterpreted at times because they don't have a full context. And one of the things, Shukracharya, and the way he starts is when Bali Mahārāja says that, yes, I will take whatever you want, and he's getting ready to give the 3 steps of land to Vāmanadeva. Shukracharya immediately forbids him and he says, son of Virochana. Because according to Shukracharya, Virochana, he considered Virochana a fool to give up his duration of life to Brahmanas who are not actually Brahmanas, who are actually demigods dressed as Brahmanas. So he is trying to indicate to Bali Mahārāja that you are being foolish just like your father was, and who gave up his duration of life. And he says that he gives 3 different reasons, and then he gives a 4th instruction. So, first reason he gives is that one who cannot, means one should be able to give charity, perform activities and perform sacrifices based on their abilities. So if you are not able to do this, because he reveals afterwards, is that in the very first step he will occupy this whole earth. Second step, he will occupy the whole universe. Where will you give him the space for the 3rd step? And you will not be able to fulfill your promise. So you won't be able to do that. And then the second one is that when one's body dies, when a tree is uprooted, the twigs stop growing. So when you try to perform things that are outside your capacity, then that is as good as being dead, and you don't want to do that kind of action. So he's saying that one has to make sure that they are able to sustain themselves when they give something, they perform some action like this. So as he's giving that, he's seeing that Bali Mahārāja is still not very satisfied. So he gives another example
Is that
So again, I'm covering the 7th, 8th,
when
9th
it's preceded by
lessons
Om,
in
it
this.
is truthful.
Is that
And if it's
a
not preceded by
statement
Om,
when it's preceded by Om, it is truthful. And if it's not preceded by Om, it is untruthful.
I'm ready to give it to you. It did
Since
not
Bali
precede
Mahārāja
his
said,
statement
yes, take whatever you want, I'm ready to give it to you.
So he still
He did not
has
proceed
an
his
escape
statement
ground.
with Om,
Telling Bali
so it is
Mahārāja
not truthful.
that
So he still has an escape
you will not
ground.
criticize if
He's
you
telling Bali Mahārāja that,
don't
you
uphold
will
your
not be
words.
criticized if you,
And
don't
because of
uphold your
these
words.
three, instructions,
And because of these three, instructions, Shukracharya appears more like a Smarta Brahman, who's more interested in their own welfare, right? Because Bali Mahārāja was the king of the universe, and being the spiritual master of the king of the universe, being his priest as well, Shukracharya had a very comfortable position. He was looking at his own comfort and the comfort of his descendants. So from that perspective. So that's the 9th lesson.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada reveals another aspect.
And then
That one
in
continues
the
to
purport,
beg
Srila Prabhupada reveals
without,
another aspect,
you know,
that one who continues to beg
just as a media to collect money,
without,
and without properly utilizing that money,
just as a media
like
to
a
collect
just
money,
beggar, one who's
and without
constantly
properly
begging like a
utilizing that
beggar,
money, like just a
and
beggar,
uses that as a
one who's
profession,
constantly begging
should
like a
be killed.
beggar,
Sainam
and
tatreva
uses
hanyat.
that as a profession,
If one
should be
continuously
killed.
poses himself as
Sainam
possessing
tatreva
nothing and
hanyat.
collects money by begging,
If one continuously poses himself as possessing nothing and collects money by begging, he should be killed. This is in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 8th canto, 19th chapter, verse 42. Srila Prabhupada is writing this book. Sanam tatreva hanyat. So one should not take to a profession of a beggar. That's highly condemned. So one should be able to understand that they should not take this position. Now that reminds me of an interesting story. So once there was a man, he was doing his job, and as he would do the job, he would come, the day he would get his salary, and he would go to the temple and, offer something in charity at the temple, do a very nice opulent puja at the temple. And then as he was coming out, there was a beggar sitting, and he always gives this beggar 100 rupees. So as he was going through, sometimes in profession, people get demoted for no reason, and company downsizes and so forth. So his company downsized, his position decreased, as well as his salary decreased. So he went, he still performed, the worship at the temple, and as he was coming out, he gave 50 rupees to the beggar. The beggar said, "Why 50 rupees? You always gave me 100 rupees. So the man says, "Well, I was getting good salary, I was getting 100,000, but now I'm getting only 50,000. So the beggar says, "Just because your salary is reduced, why are you reducing my salary?"
one should not do that.
He's taking it to be a profession. One should not do that. So Srila Prabhupada is giving very strict instructions. And now, even though, Bali Mahārāja is getting all these, insights from Shukracharya, is how to be, he may not be satisfied. Shukracharya, realizing this, says that there are 7 instances when one, carry out a false statement, he will not be criticized. He is saying, in flattering a woman to bring her under control, in joking, in marriage ceremony, in earning one's livelihood, when one's life is in danger, in protecting cows and Brahmanical culture, or in protecting a person from an enemy's hand, falsity is never condemned. Now again, this is Shukracharya's instruction. These 7 instances can be highly misinterpreted as well. So there is a very, I'm quickly going to cover before we finish the class. Lord Buddha, he was preaching, and an incarnation of the Lord, right? Lord Buddha, he said that to save false statement is the biggest sin, right? To lie is a great sin. And immediately, It so happened that a hidden deer ran by. And then soon after that deer came a hunter. And he said to Lord Buddha, have you seen a deer run by this place? He said, yes. Lord Buddha said, yes. He said, can you tell me which way he went? And Lord Buddha pointed in opposite direction. That way he went. And everyone is shocked. Lord Buddha just said, to lie is the biggest sin. Right? And then he himself is saying a lie that the deer went that way and the hunter just went in the direction Lord Buddha pointed. So one person asked, you just said that to lie is the biggest sin. Lord Buddha said, in the proper context, to save someone's life, the sin is justified. So we should look at it, things from the proper context, otherwise things may be completely convoluted. So this is where we would end the chapter. Any questions or comments? Again, the important thing is, Bali Mahārāja is still not satisfied because he is already purified when he sprinkled the water and he is completely under blissful experience, when he is interacting with Vāmanadeva. And of course, that's because of his previous birth and he is a devotee. So we should aspire to always serve the Lord Shiva and to ask for devotional services, just raising our hand chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu?
Keeping something as a Brahman, collecting, keeping something for Brahmans and sannyasis is simple. It's almost
Yes.
and they get one. So it comes.
Yes.